Hey, Winnie Anderson here. I'm the host of the podcast Let's Talk Tech. You can find that at techshowpodcast.com. This is the after show. It's a live Q&A between a guest and me, and it's done on Blab. So this, of course, is a recording of that Blab session, and this one is with Duncan Moss of Moss Media Solutions and I. This was a crazy session. I had an incredible problem getting on. So what you're going to see is someone named Gail Turner Brown. She is a great friend of mine, and she is the Blab Queen. Luckily, she was helping out that day, and she jumped into the seat and decided to just start running the Blab when she saw that I could not get on. So that's who you're going to see initially with Duncan. They're going to go through a whole host of questions, and they'll even get into some of the tech. So we don't usually cover that on Let's Talk Tech, so that's kind of a little bit of a treat. Eventually, I do manage to get on, and then the questions go in a whole different direction, and I share how I'm able to converse easily on camera and how I'm able to appear very confident on camera. What's the strategy I use, and how do I actually set up my technology to make it easier for me to speak on camera. So I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, it was a wild time, and it ends up being incredibly long. So pop some popcorn, get a beverage of choice, get a pencil and paper, and make sure you take notes, because there were some great little nuggets revealed all through the 2 hours or almost 2 hours of this session. So thanks, hope you enjoy it, and be sure to check out the Let's Talk Tech show at techshowpodcast.com or at the show's site, the letstalktechshow.com. We first met in I think it was actually a course that we took. And then we some of us broke out of that course and formed a little mastermind to stay on point. Masterminds are awesome. So if you've never been in one, I encourage you to jump in it and create one yourself, or join one. And so that's really how we met. And then we actually met live at a live event in California, of all places, in San Diego. So, and here's another something fun. My husband is dying to go back to Halifax and Nova Scotia.
Oh, good.
So that's where Duncan lives. So welcome, Duncan.
Thanks, Winnie. It's great to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, I had one guest, the very first guest that I did a Blab with, who told me then that he got addicted to Blabs. And he loves to watch them. He loves to participate. So Blabs really are very addicting, and they are a lot of fun. So one of the things that we're going to do is touch on some of the things that we talked about in our first episode together, which was about the critical keys that you need, and there are 5 of them, for video marketing success. And then I'm going to ask Duncan a little bit about some topics that we weren't able to really address in the show, but I encourage you to check out Duncan's episode at the letstalktechshow.com or on iTunes at techshowpodcast.com. So Duncan, let's just, I don't want to give a whole lot away, because I want people to go and check out that awesome episode that we did together, but let's talk about some of the things that you talked about that were the X factors, right? Those special things that really make video powerful for you. So for, the person using it. So can you talk about them?
Well, sure. I think one of the first ones is that when people think about video, they have a tendency to forget about audio. And audio is really where your story starts. And in fact, if you don't have good audio, you don't have a good script, you're not going to have a very good video. People can often be wowed by thinking about the graphics and the special effects, and concerned about the shooting aspects of it, and forget that if they haven't really planned a good script and they are not giving consideration to good audio, it doesn't matter how good the video is.
Yeah.
So, we know even on this Blab, if the audio starts to crackle and pop and so on, we could be beautifully lit and gorgeous, but people aren't going to listen.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to interrupt you there, because I'm having some video or some audio issues. So if you guys can let me know, are you hearing the same things we are? And if so, I'm just going to unplug and replug, because, sometimes that helps too.
I'm noticing a little echo from me, but I don't. But you're sounding good. So
Okay, great. So I'm going to unplug and replug just for fun.
well, while we're waiting for Winnie, I could talk a little more about some of these X factors, and I think that we, as I mentioned, audio is a concern, and you know, not having a plan. I'm kind of moving into some of these the other aspects, but if you haven't really, if you don't know who you're talking to, or you don't know what your message is, it's pretty hard to produce a good video.
Okay, so I can't hear you. So in that case, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask the next question, and I'm just going to do my best at pausing this. And
Okay.
if things continue wonky, we might just have to cut it short. Sorry, everybody.
Sure.
So Duncan, one of the things that I was wondering about was the different styles of video. In the original episode, we talked a lot about those keys that you need to have success with any video production project. Can you talk about the different types of videos that we all need? You know, is there like the bio video,
Sure.
the explainer video? What are these different types of videos, and
sure,
and
sure.
what do you think
Well,
we
I guess
need?
there's the for video marketers or marketers. We still look at, for example, you need a landing page, so there should be a landing page video, which can be your explainer video, a sales video, which is all really about your product, and then of course if people are purchasing something from your website, you're going to want to send them to a place where you've also got a thank you video that you. So those are the three most important ones, I think, for marketers. Now, from a broader sense, marketing is one of the more important ones that I think still works very strongly no matter what you're doing, is a video that tells a story. Video is a heart-based medium, and if you get too detailed, too factual, you're going to lose people. So if whatever it is you're doing, if you can convey a story about your business, about yourself, about how you developed your product, what your motivations are, that's going to be more engaging than anything that's factual. And you can also do sort of what we're doing here on the Blab, which is an interview style video where somebody asks questions, you answer them, or your guest answers them. And that's still actually a very popular format because we're so accustomed to it. We see it on the news. We see that in documentary style productions. And if you're the marketer, someone interviews you, that adds to your credibility. So if you can actually set up a situation where if you want to talk about your business, I mean, we do business videos where we will profile the business owner. So that's style of video, a business owner profile. And so that individual is actually being interviewed by someone else, and questions have been engineered in advance. And actually a great way to put those together is to think about what are the things you want people to know. So what are the questions you would ask to get those answers? So you're actually scripting your video based on answers, and then go back and figure out what questions you would ask to get those answers. We do that with businesses that we profile so that business owners look their best, that we've asked them in advance, frankly, whether they frequently ask questions or should ask questions, and that they're prepared for that, and then they can speak knowledgeably about their business. So you've got that Q&A style video. These days you've got to be careful about them because people don't want to sit through anything too terribly long, so 3 to 5 minutes maybe, unless you've got some really exciting stuff that you can add to that visually later. You've got to try and keep those short and cut to the chase. So we've got the Q&A style, the storytelling style, and of course you need to be engaging or be a good storyteller to make the storytelling video work, but they're often the most popular. Then of course you've got that more kind of factual, kind of documentary burn style video where you're using a bunch of images and what we used to call the slide taper, which was basically a series of slides and an audio tape, or nowadays, your MP3 audio, And so you don't even appear necessarily on camera, but that you're using graphics and video to fill in the story that you've decided you wanted to tell as as an audio piece. And truthfully, in my business, it's still an old axiom, and that is that good radio makes good television. Imagine for a moment that you want to explain something to someone. Well, try and do it without pictures. So that means that your soundtrack, what it is you want to say to people, has got to be strong, well-structured, descriptive, and if it works well as a good audio, when you start to add pictures to that, you're going to have a very strong video. If you rely too heavily on pictures and haven't thought about what the audio is, that it's not descriptive and well-structured, it really won't matter how good your pictures are. And I suppose you've got your sort of hard sell sales video, which we really try to avoid suggesting that people produce these days. Unless somebody is already predisposed to your product or your service and really want to know more, you can produce those, but they need to be, a little deeper on your website. You shouldn't really just be coming straight out with a hard sell video about your product or your service. It's unlikely that people are going to sit through it for very long, especially if they don't know who you are or know your background or the nature of your business. So people want to do business with people. So the more you can tell them about yourself and how you got to your product, those are better videos. And of course, from the heart, really. Television is a heart medium, video is a heart medium. And so the more you reveal yourself, the more you're transparent about your feelings and your intentions, your why, as people like to say, that's going to have a bigger impact than trying to hard sell someone on why they should buy your product. Video can appear to be complicated, and people are often wowed by the gadgets. And it's kind of a trap. If you stick to making it simple, you're going to have a more effective video. So people have a tendency to start thinking about the special effects or the graphics, visual tricks, overly concerned about lighting and high-end audio and, how many megapixels does my camera have? And, frankly, these days, those things just don't really matter that much. My iPhone is an example, and most people's phones shoot high-definition video. How many megapixels it has, who cares? It's the message that you're trying to convey that's far more important than the technology that you're using. So as an X factor, technology for video can be a real trap. I'm just waiting to see if we're going to see Winnie back on this blab. Having not really done these before, it's kind of odd to be in a blab by myself. If folks have got questions, feel free. We'll see if anything shows up there in the chat box. Is there a time limit you should keep video to? Believe it or not, the answer to that is yes and no. These days, we know from statistics that we get from websites that we produce videos for that much past 2.5 to 3 minutes, unless you're doing something really engaging or your audience is really predisposed to the topic, you're not going to keep them much more than 3 minutes. Actually, you're going to be lucky to keep them much past 2 minutes. So you really need to cut to the chase. One of the things that people do oftentimes these days now is they'll have these fancy graphic introductions that take 15 or 20 seconds with spinning logos and music. Get rid of that stuff. Start immediately by introducing yourself or the topic and cut to the chase. And don't bother to bore people with, fancy spinning logos and 15 seconds of music. They're not interested. Now, if someone is actually predisposed to the topic, and an idea, for example, I worked on a program some time ago where the guy is tying fishing flies. And for those people who want to know how to tie a fishing fly, you can have a video that's an hour or 2 hours long because the guy's an expert. He's really good at what he's doing. And the people who are watching really want to know how it's done. So in that case, there is no limit. But that assumes that your audience is predisposed to the topic, that they're really, really interested in what it is you've got, and that you really got high value to offer. So if you've got high value and a predisposed audience, time is really kind of irrelevant. One of the things that I thought that I might just step back to before we get into message, market, money, minute mapping, and metrics, and all of that is in the original podcast. And my slide deck, my PowerPoint is also downloadable there. But people sometimes, have a fear of appearing on camera and are concerned if you're trying to market your own business. Is there a way to avoid actually being on camera like I am today? And you can do that. I've actually got a little ebook on how you can pull that off. And of course, it's, by using a PowerPoint or a Keynote to produce a series of slides. One of those slides could be a picture, you use a nice headshot of yourself so people do know who they're listening to. But if you can become accustomed to essentially doing what I'm doing now, and that is know your business well enough that you can speak with and have some structure in advance. And it says, I'm going to jump into the seat. You will have to accept me. Okay, you bet.
Hi, Duncan.
Gail. Hi, Gail. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just, and I know this is being recorded, but I just wanted to kind of fill in a little bit while Winnie is getting it, and
and I can see that she's attempting to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. But so here's the thing. I want you to continue on because I am extraordinarily interested in your topic. I didn't get to hear the podcast, so Judy asked a terrific question, about, one, she said, whatever you got, what you talked about on the podcast, I'd love for you to continue that. But I think you started talking about the tools that you use when you're doing video. And I would love for you to expand on that.
Well, sure. That's always a big question. And I think it's very easy to get lost in technology. When I have clients that I'm teaching on how to produce their own videos, the simplest thing is any video camera that has a microphone input. I've had people show up with an inexpensive camera that only has the little microphone on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched one the other day that a client of mine produced. And of course, the camera is 3 or 4 feet away, so the audio sounds terrible. And again, if the audio's bad, people aren't going to stick around. So an inexpensive lavalier microphone, one of the mics that you clip on, that can plug in a mic. Any camera that will accept a microphone you can plug in is a good camera.
Okay.
So, for example, my iPhone, you can buy a little cable that allows you to plug in not a headset, but just a microphone.
Okay.
And use your phone as a camera. And I've invested in a pretty good wireless lavalier microphone.
Mm-hmm.
They're not cheap, about $600. So, you don't need to spend a lot of money on the camera.
Okay.
What you do need to spend some money on is a good microphone.
Okay.
So you can buy wired lavalier microphones with a nice long cord.
Okay.
So you plug the microphone into the camera, but the mic is nice and close to you or the person who's speaking.
Right.
That's the important thing. Cameras with the built-in mic, forget them. That you got to get past that. If you don't have good audio, you're not going to have a chance. The other thing that I use, of course, is a laptop just like this one and a USB microphone.
Right.
Now, there's a great place. There's a great place to go shopping that actually had some. They had some issues recently, but there's a place called B&H in New York. It's the largest audio video online store in the world. They were actually brought to task, though, for forcing Hispanic guests to use different bathrooms.
Really?
Yeah. Now that hit, social media about a week ago, and I hope they've cleaned up their act. That was, there's no need for that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But they've got great products, and of course you can shop for this stuff on eBay and Amazon. Is an inexpensive USB-based microphone that you can just plug into your laptop, and you can use the camera in your laptop or your iPad, and again, you've got a good microphone in front of you. Actually, I'm just going to take this off for 1 second. I'll show you one. There. Now this guy, I'm going to take it out of its container here. Now this one's expensive.
Okay.
This was normally about $600.
Oh, okay.
I got it on sale for $300.
Oh, okay.
But you can buy a USB microphone for I think around $120.
Okay.
Now that might still be a lot of money for some people, but a great mic makes a huge difference. Truthfully, I sound wonderful on this mic. So, and actually a good friend of mine who's an audio engineer has some of the same microphones that were used by the Beatles at the Apple Record
Oh,
studio.
wow.
Now, George Martin actually approached Hayward hoping that Hayward would sell him some of those microphones back.
Oh, wow.
Now, I've stood in front of one of those mics. Everybody sounds good. Right? So what I'm saying is a good microphone makes a huge difference. But for $120, you can buy a decent mic that will plug into a USB mic that'll either plug into your laptop or plug into your, your phone or an inexpensive video camera. And you're in business.
Okay.
That of all of the things you're going to spend money on, the microphone is really very important. Okay. Now I'll show you how this thing works. This is a gadget that I can plug any microphone into.
Oh.
Right? And so now this is made by a company called Shure, and it's a little pricey. I can plug any microphone in here, and in the other end is a little port that looks like the USB jack you put your printer in. Right? So I can just run a cable from here to the side of my laptop or any computer, and I'm recording audio from any kind of microphone. So there are adapters that do that. And actually, I'm gonna show you one other little thing that's kind of cool.
Okay, I like cool things.
There. Sorry for going off camera. I'm gonna dig this out for you. There are little cables that you can use to adapt your phone. You can find these online, and it's a microphone phone adapter. Here it is. Okay. You see the little
yes.
thing? Now, this end fits my iPhone. So, and if you look closely at it, and I don't know if I can do this, put it there. You see how, it's got a tip, and it has 3 rings. What goes in this end, a typical microphone, only has a tip and 2 rings.
Right.
So that's what this cable does, is adapt from a traditional or typical microphone connector. There it is there. You see, it's only got 2 rings on it.
Right. That makes sense.
So this cable's got a little bit of electronics built into it to adapt from a typical microphone cable to an iPhone.
Okay.
This was $40. All of a sudden, my iPhone is a camera.
Right.
And will function just like a video camera. So to me, you got to get the audio right, because then you can use an inexpensive camera. The other thing that's really important is a tripod, right? To just have stable shots that don't wiggle and wobble.
Right.
You know, the selfie sticks are fine, but you're never really going to get, I mean, right now, of course, my laptop isn't moving. You know, we're not jumping and jiggling around. People want to see that. And I'll show you something where right now I'm sitting fairly close to this laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also producing a relatively high definition
Right.
image. So when I'm interviewing somebody, I frame them up so that there's a lot of space around them in the original shot. Because I can start off with a picture this big, and then when I want them to, I have to let my phone go. When I'm editing, and I think, okay, I want this little piece, but I don't want this piece, and then I want this other piece,
Mm-hmm.
I can make a cut, zoom in to my wide shot, and it looks like I zoomed with my camera.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right? So like when you're interviewing somebody, and you can tell when you've got an amateur guy behind the camera, he'll be zooming in and then zooming out and zooming back in because he's bored. You don't want that. You lock off the shot, generally, you know, put the person kind of off to one side, and you can zoom in later. Your editing software will let you do that. So you don't need to be zooming in and out. If a shot is too close, you can never zoom back out. Right? You can't make it wider. But on a wide shot, I can always make it closer.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, I just produced a video for a demo. I mean, every laptop's got video editing software in it, whether it's a Mac or a PC. They come either with Windows Movie Maker or iMovie.
Okay.
And they've got plenty of tools. So, you know, either you become accustomed with that or you hire somebody else. But you only need your laptop to edit most video.
I think it's really important, especially for people who are using live streaming. Obviously, if you're live streaming, you're either going to be on video or you're going to be doing audio, like with podcasting. And so the information you're providing, I think, is really beneficial. So if a person is at the beginning of their process, okay, and they're just starting out in video, I heard, so in terms of the technical aspect, you're saying, hey, look, just use your laptop camera, but get an external audio so that your audio is really clear. Don't worry about all the fancy schmancy stuff. Just get it done. Now, on the other side, I want to make sure I'm clear on, I know you said there are different ways that you can use video. One I think I heard was storytelling. Storytelling was a way, and I wasn't sure of the other one. I'm not totally sure I got the other one. So I really would like to hear about the storytelling. And is there any one particular way that's best to get to be the most effective, especially if you're interviewing people or you're just putting video content out there for information to help drive leads and ultimately drive sales? Is there any one better than the other?
Well, sure. I still think, you know, what I like to call being transparent, and that either if you're interviewing somebody or you're the one in front of the camera, that you're authentic. That word's a little overused, but people want to know who you are.
Right.
So most of the time your website is also going to have factual information about your product or service. It's all there to be read. But there's a thing called the triangle of trust. And that is that, you know, you're not going to do business with someone you don't know. You're not going to probably do business with someone you don't like. And you're certainly not going to do business with someone you don't trust.
Right.
And the only way they're going to like you, know you, and trust you is if you reveal yourself and tell them who you really are. and so much of that has to really, frankly, to do, as I get, like the video is a heart medium, that you're earnest or honest about your intentions. So we're back to storytelling. Like I've written a couple of books, and I find that like what's called the case study, where you take a situation and explain the benefits or the downfalls through an event that really occurred. Right? So wherever you can, if you're talking about the benefits of your product or your service, move it to a place where you're talking about somebody else who's used that product or service and their experience. Right. People want to hear about that experience. Right. And that kind of comes back to the business of a distinction that people sometimes have a difficulty with, and that we talked about this in the podcast, is the difference between features and benefits.
Right.
And people don't want to know about features, right? It's like my car has, hydroelastic suspension and rack and pinion steering. So what? Actually, it's got a really smooth ride, though, and you won't spill a coffee when you're in it. Okay, right? That's the benefit of hydroelastic suspension and rack and pinion steering. So you want to talk benefits, you want to talk experience, right? Again, it's if I'm in this beautifully smooth riding car, I'm not going to spill my coffee. That's experiential. Right. So the more you can get to how people feel about things and their experiences rather than the technical aspects, because video does a much better job of that. I mean, right now, watching you and I, you can tell whether we're angry, upset, happy, engaged, or not. And video does that better than anything else. So, if I wasn't excited about what I do, right? So that's what you should be looking for when you're producing a video, either, when you're doing it yourself or you're bringing people on to talk about your product or services. Where's the energy?
Right.
So that's not even so much a type of video, but that you create an environment in which people get to really express themselves, and that you can tell that people are excited about your product and service, or you are. So not too rehearsed, and that's why the question and answer thing works. We're back to that kind of testimony. Like, rather than having somebody stand in front of a camera who's been heavily scripted and say, well, I really like Joe's Chocolate Factory, and I always eat Joe's chocolates, and you can tell he's been scripted. Forget it.
Yeah.
Rather than having somebody come on and throw a few questions at them that they may not have ever anticipated, but their answers are honest, and they're honest, that people will buy. So that Q&A thing that's legitimate. So and I guess you can do a scripted video, but that's going to be a sales piece. You've taken the time to write and decide on every word that's going to be spoken. Now you're going to read a professional or animated voice to deliver that, or it's not going to fly. And there better be some pretty interesting graphics to go along with it. Because we've all been watching the world's best television since we grew up. Right?
Yes.
Watching an episode of Miami CSI, that's $1 million that just rolled by. And the analogy I like to use is, if I were to blindfold you and put you in some beat-off old Cavalier, and then, again, blindfolded, put you inside a state-of-the-art Lamborghini, you would know that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know how to build them. You might not even know how to drive them. But you know good when you see it. You know excellent when you see it.
Exactly.
And so you've been watching enough great television to know a good video or a bad video when you see it. You might not know how it was produced, but you know enough about the medium, anybody who's 6 years old or older, to figure out that's not any good, or I really like that. So keeping it simple and not being overly complex technically because that's where you'll fall down. That's suddenly, if you get too complicated, too sophisticated, people are going to measure you against complicated and sophisticated stuff.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's an excellent
and when
point.
you've got people,
Yes.
there she is. But when
I
you've got
can't hear
people
you.
who can spend a ton of money to produce a video, and you don't have that kind of money,
Yeah, I can't.
keep it
I can't hear
simple.
you. I'm trying.
We can hear you, Winnie.
Yeah, we get.
Winnie, you could ask questions.
I'm glad you guys can hear me, but I can't hear anything. So keep talking amongst yourselves. I'll join in as soon as I
All right.
can.
We'll do that. We're having fun.
We are.
So, Gail, was that helpful? Was that?
Yeah, no, that was that's excellent. That's really excellent. You know, one of the things I've been accused of, I'm not going to, as you say, based on the authenticity, is that I'm too authentic. Sometimes
What?
yeah, well, you know,
I don't buy that.
sometimes, you know, I've had people say, yeah, it's too much information. That's too much.
Yeah, well, me too.
But I try to share with people, you know, this is who I am. I mean, I don't go into, I'm not talking about like the gore, but I mean, you know, sometimes it may be, you know, I'm presenting and then I may say, hey, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot to load the video I wanted to show. You know, and so, you know, and I had someone say, you know, I shouldn't tell people that. That makes people think that you may not be professional. You're not really prepared. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm really kind of saying, hey, look, this is the kind of stuff that could occur, that may happen. And so,
I think I'm with you, Gail. I think being real, you know, I'll hang in with folks that, you know, are presenting themselves as they really are.
Right.
And we all make mistakes. We're all human. I'm personally, you know, find it more engaging when somebody is just being themselves as opposed to, I mean, I saw this, somebody else produced this video, I think J.C. Brooks, and it was just really nice because he said, you know, nobody's going to do a better job of being you than you.
Right.
And nobody wants you, like, they're not going to buy you pretending to be somebody else.
Well, and that's true.
Right? You just got to learn to do a really good job of
being me.
Yeah. and be a better you. Right? We all want to, you know, so if we improve ourselves, are you back?
Can you hear?
No. She can't hear us. Darn it. We're having such a good time.
So we are good. We are good. That's why I wanted to make sure that's just why I'm going to tell you. I know that you're new to this platform, Duncan. But this is why it's great to have friends that are like, you know what? Judy is holding it down. You know, she's monitoring the chat. I'm like, man, let me help out here because it's technology, stuff happens. Yeah. But as you said, and I really love this, you know, you said that if it's good enough for radio, then it can be good for television. And so, and that's why, and also, as you said, don't get hung up on the technology because the information you're providing is really what's vital. It's not whether this works and that works. It's, you know, are we able to get your message and be able to use it in our business? And that's the most important part.
Well, and that's why I always keep coming back to the good microphone because, I mean, messaging essentially requires audio. And so, like, I'm not terribly well lit or anything here today. I've got sunlight coming in through the windows. You know, I haven't cracked up big production lights or anything here today. But I know that the microphone in this head jack is actually pretty good. But if the audio was terrible, people are just going to tune out. So you really gotta, at least if you're going to put any money down, it's on the mic.
You do it on the mic. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I will say this though. I do, and Judy and Charlotte, if you're still in here, I'm not sure. I do hear a little bit of an echo with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that's your audio or now. It could be this platform. And
Yeah.
Oftentimes refresh is your friend and you just kind of have to refresh. But he's okay. So Judy said when you lifted up the cord, it cleared it. It cleared it.
What if I just plug in both earbuds?
Okay. And that sounds like it's better. So we were probably hearing from the other earbud. That's probably what we were hearing.
I just learned something.
See? Hello.
There you go.
Good.
I'm still actually hearing a little echo. But...
No, I'm not as much as I was before.
Okay. Very good. You know, the other thing that I would like to, we're talking about equipment for video, because it's really inexpensive and it can make a big difference, are these nice little battery-powered LED lights.
Okay, LED lights. Okay.
LED lights. I'm going to get one. Hang on.
He's got all his props. You got to come to the table with the props. So this is good. This is good stuff. I like this. Yeah, Inspector Gadget.
I'm doing show and tell here today.
You're Inspector Gadget.
That's right. Well, see, I don't think this was any more than $30.
Okay.
And it's actually just running on a couple of like watch batteries. I don't know when they'll burn out, but.
So why is that useful? What are we using that for?
Well, I mean, look at the size of it, right? It's tiny. Now, I need to put this about 4 or 5 feet away.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll be overlit.
Okay.
But I don't, you can go out and spend several $100s on a softbox and a big production line. But these LEDs now are so inexpensive, and a little extra light goes a long way.
So how do you mount it? Like, what would I mount it on?
Well, this one will mount directly on a regular consumer camera. It's got what's called a hot shoe fitting.
Right? Oh, okay. There you go.
And you can get little alligator clamps.
Okay.
And then just clamp it to a chair, a piece of furniture.
Oh.
It doesn't really matter. See, now I'd have to put this. I mean.
Okay. That's really comes in handy when, depending on where you are and the time of day, you know how sometimes you get that half moon face going on, and so.
That's right. But you can see, like if I, the difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a $30
That's
light.
great. That's really great.
Right. Now you can get bigger ones for $40 or $50, but because then what you do is get like the light stands are really inexpensive. It's the lights you put on top of them that can cost you a lot.
Okay.
So, but nowadays these things have become, like I've seen them on eBay about 4 times the size for $50.
Wow.
A $50 LED light will light you and your friend from 6 feet.
That's super great. I like that.
That. And I think there's an outfit online. I'm just going to check here in another browser called Cowboy Lighting.
Okay.
And they do, the echo's getting me, but and I'm just going to check it here for a second. So I'm staring at my other browser. Bear with me. But they sell really inexpensive soft boxes.
Now,
okay. And a softbox is a diffused light that you've seen photographers use. I'd have to post that at a later date, but I'm pretty sure it's Cowboy Lighting. But there she is.
She can hear. Can we hear you talk?
I'm afraid.
Yes.
She's back.
She did it.
All right.
She did it.
All right. Let's party.
Finally. That's great.
I'm going to have to watch the friggin' recording of my own show.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Well, we was holding it down for you.
Apparently, you don't need me. Take over.
That's funny.
Oh, that was so funny.
So there's some great places, like lighting is important. and it does take a little care, but you don't have to spend a small fortune on it. As I said, these little LED lights will get the job done.
Right.
You know, an adapter cable for your iPhone, and you can get. I'm doing Inspector Gadget here. I really am. I wasn't. This wasn't what I was going to do, but I love gadgets. This thing fits on a selfie stick.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll also fit on a regular 35 millimeter camera tripod.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, you just put your iPhone in there, stick it on a tripod, you got yourself a camera.
That's awesome.
So I think it's better to experiment with your iPhone or your, Samsung phone, an inexpensive microphone, a couple of inexpensive lights, and get used to the process.
Right.
We learn by making mistakes. Not really, you need to read a few things, but it's doing it and looking at your stuff and realizing, oh, that doesn't look good or that does look good. Just, you need to make a lot of videos to get good at it.
I'm going to jump in. One is because I can.
That's right.
Second, no, please don't go anywhere. But
Just
one of
stay
the
right
things
there.
people ask me all the time.
I'll hug you from here.
People ask me all the time, how did I get comfortable on camera? How did I manage to do this? One way for you PC users out there, I'll give you all my secrets right here. Okay, so one, there's a tool on every PC. Well, you have to download it now, but it's in Windows Essentials. It's called Windows Live Movie Maker. That's number one.
Oh, wow, you have to download that now?
Now you do, yeah, with the upgrade. Don't get me started on that.
No, okay.
Yeah, please. So anyway, just go to Microsoft, download Windows Essentials, and if you don't already have it, and get that on. Then the next thing I strongly recommend you do is you get 2 monitors. You can get a second monitor for $50, $75. Okay, get a second monitor. Get a Logitech C920 camera, less than $100. Get a little $14 bendable tripod, Target, okay? Put the camera between the 2 monitors, because right above there with your other monitors, and above the wall, you can paste a little outline of what you're going to talk about, and you're going to look like you're just ad-libbing. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And then just practice recording yourself and delete it. And then the more you talk, so that's one of the big ways that I got comfortable on camera.
Right. That is
excellent tip. That's really good. Idea.
So so I'll ask both of you this. What do you do to help you ensure that you are looking, especially like in this platform, because you got to look at the camera, but you're trying to look at your guests, and you're trying to make sure that you're looking at, that you can look at the news, the chat. So
2 monitors.
Okay, so do that with 2 monitors.
Every person, in my opinion, every professional who is serious about a strong web presence and creating engagement between themselves and their audience, you have to have 2 monitors, because that's if you could see my office, I have 2 laptops, okay, which one of them, the camera's upside down. Don't get me started about that. I have 2 monitors and I have my iPad, and I recently installed a new gateway. So that's part of the craziness that's going on here. But I'm telling you right now, 2 monitors will save you so much hassle, because in my peripheral vision, which is not very good because I have a brain injury, I'm a disaster, I can see Gail and I can see Duncan.
Okay.
I don't have to be, it's your brain that tells you have to look right at them. Okay. So just get comfortable. And this is why I like practicing with Windows Live Movie Maker, because you just call this up and the camera is dead set in between my 2 monitors. So what I do is I bring the monitors as close as I possibly can, but so not to cut off the camera. Mm-hmm. And then I just really focus, and this really does take practice, so that I'm looking out of my peripheral vision at Gail, but I'm really talking right to the camera, and it just creates that that engaged kind of thing. Now, the one other tool that you need is, I have a desktop, okay, because if I'm going to work 12 hours a day, I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm going to have a desktop. One of the things that you need to have that second monitor, it's this little gadget that I wish I knew the name of, but I can actually go get, I have spare in my closet if you'd like me to hold it up for you. All you want to do is you want to go to Staples, Radio Shack, your office supply store of choice, but I love Radio Shack. And you want to tell them whatever platform you've got, a desktop, laptop, whatever, and that you want to be able to have a second monitor. Don't ask your computer repair guy, because he's going to tell you can't do it. They don't like you to do it because it puts strain on the resources.
Okay.
But if you've got a reasonably good video card, your video card can take a second monitor. I'm going to get a third one by the end of the year, to be honest with you. So I'm telling you, that is really the secret. It's having these two monitors and then just developing the practice of talking to the camera directly in front of you and letting your eye deal with the peripheral vision. But also you can just let people know, hey, I'm glancing back and forth. I tell people I have notes and I'm going to look down at them. I think we're all hip to that, but really the practice is key. And if you have, I'm going to bet that if, I don't know what it is on a Mac, Duncan, you probably know, it's whether it's what a movie maker, right? iMovie. Yeah. You got something and you got your built-in camera, so just start practicing. But I really like the detachable, so that's my little lecture there.
Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good.
No, I just two monitors.
Okay.
I had them
So Charlotte wants me to go get the tool, so I'm going to duck behind the screen. I'm going to go get it. 1 second.
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. I appreciate that, because I was like, yeah, I want to see it. I really do kind of want.
What's behind the screen? We want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
What's she doing back there?
Yes, exactly. That's fun. That's really good. Now, sometimes
she's going to come up with different clothes on. Yeah.
That's right. Now, sometimes I do kind of concern myself, because I don't clinically have this, I don't think, but I say I'm like ADHD, okay? So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm now going to be looking at two monitors, doing all of this. I don't know if my brain is going to be able to handle it. It might explode, but we will see. We will definitely see. Because I do.
Once you have a second screen, you're really not going to want to go back.
So I'm gonna, because well, see, that's the only thing. My iPad will not allow me to do a blab. I can't do blab on my iPad. But I do have a Chromebook that I can use as another monitor.
Okay, you ready? So here it is. Okay, now what you want to do, second monitor help. I'm telling you, I can't live without a second monitor. It makes me like crazy. And when you're researching and writing, you have your research, your writing on one side. It's the absolute best thing for productivity. So I'm just going to show you. You probably can't see very clearly. I'll tell you what I will do though. This episode, this after show, because honest to God, this is connected to an actual program that I run, is going to be posted on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm going to then I'm going to embed it on my website, and I'm going to take a couple of pictures, Charlotte, and I'll post this on there so you can get a really good feel. I wish I knew the actual name of it. Doohickey. But I'll take lots of pictures, okay? And what I recommend you do is take a picture of the back of your computer to show the guy at Staples or wherever what you want to connect it to. And this will let you connect a full-size monitor. You got to just be able to tighten it up and all that. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. And then just get your little C920. And you know what? I'm going to go back. I feel like I'm like Captain Kangaroo, and I've got this pocket full of gadgets. Let me go get my little tripod, and I'll show you that too, Charlotte. So just back.
You
It's an
showing your
adapter.
age, girl. You
Judy,
showing your
Judy says
age.
it's an adapter.
That's
What's-
Now, I thought it was a torqued out bendel rotor, but
You said you thought it was what?
doohickey is good.
What'd you say, Duncan? You thought it was
I said I thought it was a torqued out bendel rotor, but apparently a doohickey.
okay. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's Gadget
Yeah,
Girl.
it's Gadget Girl. Okay.
I know. Yeah. That's that's my superhero name. I'm
I'm
Gadget
gonna
Girl.
Gadget Girl. I'm gonna get you a
I
t-shirt.
know, right? Exactly.
So now why do I have two of everything? Don't get me started. I used to travel a lot. My husband and I geographically separated for 2.5 years. So, no, not 2.5 years, 6.5 years. So I lived in two places, and I got tired of schlepping with all of my junk with me. So yeah, I made the expense of buying all these extra spare parts, because there's nothing worse than traveling 500 miles and you can't do something, right? So this is a little tripod. Wait, this is fantastic.
She's so
Look at
excited.
that. Look at that. Is that awesome or what?
Okay, so that makes
Totally
it so that you can put it on top of
Totally bendy.
furniture and all kind of stuff.
Right. So what I did was,
I did that to my arm once, but I needed a cast.
so I'm telling you, you guys are getting all the secrets, the insider secrets here today. So see, it was worth it to hang on. I'm so sorry that this was so crazy, but anyway. So what I used to sit on an exercise. I sat on an exercise ball. I was in a car accident in 1999, so I have a whole host of injuries. So I used to sit on an exercise ball because it took the pressure off of my hips. It was fantastic. And that made me sit up higher. So this little tripod used to sit on top of my pencil sharpener from 1975.
Oh my God.
Orange.
Oh my God.
And frightening. And then my little camera.
What's a pencil?
I went to pencil. Then I would have the camera up here, and this moves around, and also it's really awesome. I think this is made by Targus, Targus.
Okay.
They're fabulous. They make the greatest gadgets. So you might want to get at least one of these.
Yeah. There's also, Winnie, there's a company called Gorilla.
Love them.
And yeah, and they make those little bendable armatures so you can put your camera anywhere. So yeah, those are great.
Okay, look, we gotta start putting these names in the chat. So I'm trying to keep up with them. So besides doohickey, I know if I go in Target and go on radio and say, "Do you have a doohickey?" They're not gonna know what I'm talking about.
So back to what I was saying. I promise that if you go to the letstalktechshow.com late tonight or tomorrow, this episode is going to be posted there, and I would love to watch it because I don't know what we're talking about. And I'm gonna.
I was gonna say that. We were talking about you.
I'm gonna take photographs, and I will also do some research to get the actual name. I know it's some kind of adapter. Judy is right.
Yeah,
It's some kind of adapter, but I'll get the right, I'll get the right name, and I'll make sure I put it, and if I can find it on Amazon or Radio Shack, I'll post the actual link to that plus my picture.
Okay.
Because I hope you guys were talking about tech and it was really helping people. I'm so happy that it was doohickey. I'm glad, Charlotte. You are right with me. Okay. So I want you to know that you have been experiencing three of my favorite people on the planet: the fabulous Gail, who I don't know what I would do without my sister, and lovely Judy, who is my fabulous production assistant, and you can see I'm lost without her. And then the fabulous Duncan, who was a great guest on Let's Talk Tech, and really, if you think he's been great here, you should go back and check out that episode because he really shared fantastic information. So you want to make sure you get that at the letstalktechshow.com or on Tech Show Podcast on iTunes. Because Duncan really is the man. He has a great offer for folks who go to the website. Thank you, Judy, for really actually helping me here, and posting that link. You really want to get that because he's great information, and he's going to be back. We're going to do an additional episode, and we're even talking about doing a little video marketing conference.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so you want to stay tuned about that. You want to make sure that you follow us all and stay connected. So yeah, I know my team is really fantastic, and I adore them, and I am not happy with Bill Gates and Time Warner Cable today, but other than that, that's great. So one of the things, and tell me if you guys talked about this, and I know we can't go on all afternoon just because I only just joined 22 minutes ago. But one of the things that I think people are, or at least I get questions about, Duncan, and this is something that we started talking about, these different styles of video.
Yeah. So we did the storytelling. I did ask him about that. And
okay.
Get the other ones. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. People are real, like they know they want to get into video, but then it's well, now what do I do and what do I need and that sort of thing. So I think that it's always, what's the message you want to deliver? And I know that that's a big deal for you as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I think if we just go back, from a marketing standpoint, you need, on any website, I like to see 3 videos, and that is the landing page, the sales page, and thank you video. And of course, they have a different style in the sense that on the landing page, I still think it's important that you're introducing you as much as you are introducing your product or service. So again, that's one of those what I call a heartfelt video. It's more about your intention and why you're there and how you can help people than facts. The sales video can be more factual, and that can be a little more scripted. I think the landing page videos really should be a little more off the cuff or unscripted, that you are, transparent, authentic, that word. And then, of course, the thank you video. If somebody actually buys something from your website or that they've expressed an interest in what you have to offer, that you've let them know that how much you appreciate, the fact that they took time to be there. So those are the 3 basics. In a bigger sense, we talked about earlier, Gail, that, video does a really good job of showing people that if you're authentic and transparent, you're doing from the heart. So the interview style, which is kind of what we're doing here today, where you set somebody up and they know in advance what the questions are. You're asking questions. That's that typical kind of news Q&A thing. That's one way to do it. The fully scripted, commercial or sales video style, which has its place, but you don't want all of your stuff to be like that. And, well, I suppose if you look at what normally goes on when you're watching television, you've got things like what's called theatrical. Well, theatrical is scripted, right? Feature films are scripted. And so I think what people sometimes forget, and I think we've had some fun here today, is that either you're producing something that is intentionally designed to entertain or has an entertainment element.
Accidentally sometimes.
Accidentally. But I think that there needs to be, so you can be doing stuff that, certainly in your landing video, there needs to be an entertainment component. That it's not cold and hard because you're just not going to keep people's attention.
Yeah, what I think is one of the biggest things that holds people back is, and I'm maybe projecting a little bit and thinking about some of the clients I work with and the good friends that I have that are brilliant at what they do, but who get in front of that camera and the little blue or the little red light comes on and they just freeze. And I think part of it comes from the conditioning that we have from our corporate lives. And let's face it, most of us have worked for somebody, right, in our lifetime, whether it's a government organization in Duncan's case or corporate entities, nonprofits like me, educational institutions, whatever. And we have lived a professional life full of judgment. And many of us, thank God I didn't really work in environments that were totally like this, but many people work under a cloud of fear. that if they make a mistake, their life is on the line. Their professional life is on the line. That's why in human resources, we used to call termination, it was corporal, capital punishment, because you killed somebody's career. That's really how we used to talk about it. I have an HR background. So I think we carry that fear of, what if I make a mistake? You know what happens if you make a mistake? People go, she's just like me. Sometimes I call a meeting and my tech doesn't work. Sometimes the best laid plans don't work. But we get so caught up in, if I'm not perfect, people are going to see me as lacking, or they're going to say I'm not working with her. You know what? Somebody who doesn't have the understanding that sometimes crap doesn't work, I don't want to work with that person, because they're probably too judgmental and rigid in a lot of ways. So that's something that I had to get comfortable with, was because when you're on video, there's not much more real than that, right? And you've got to get comfortable with yourself, and then be willing to let people see those warts. And I wasn't. So it's only been like the last 3 years that people have really, on video anyway, when I do live events, that's different. You're getting all of me whether you like it or not. But I've only just gotten comfortable with that over the last 3 years. And that's the God's honest truth. So, for what that's worth.
Yeah. That's I know that is true, and I will say this: unfortunately, it goes beyond or further back than your corporate life, because think about it. When you were in school and you were put in front of the class and you made a mistake, you got laughed at. The teacher may have ridiculed you. It could have carried on, and that remember, a friend of ours mentioned him, was the singing, and it's totally, he got laughed at or something. I can't remember the really bad thing, but it stopped him from doing something he really enjoyed until last year, and he's now like 40 something. And so, I think we carry that with us, that nobody wants to be on display to show your flaws, to show, whatever. And Lord knows I don't want to be seen without my makeup. Okay. So, I
think that's a really great point, Gail. And I think that, and I'm just going to throw out this commercial. Actually, I'm producing a conference in May 19th, and it's called the Confidence Conference. And while we won't be talking about video specifically, we'll be talking about all of these issues that feed into making sure that you have and you communicate with confidence, and how do you get it. I'm specifically going to deal with the secrets that I found that unleashed the confidence within me, if you will, to borrow a Tony Robbins, to mangle a Tony Robbins title. When we have fears, those fears are really memories. They're memories from the past, and obviously because they're memories, but they're memories that we're allowing to control our future.
Right.
Sure.
When we do that, we're then allowing that history to hold us back from the wonderful future that is ahead of us. So you really have to recognize when you're like, ooh, I'm not really ready to do that. Yes, you are. That's the old you trying to keep you comfortable.
Right.
So you have to let the old you know that I'm sorry that happened to you, but what's going to happen to us now is going to be great, and it's going to make up for that.
Right.
So that's something that you have to wrestle with.
That's going to be really good.
I think what's important too is that YouTube has changed, and platforms like this and Zoom and so on have changed people's expectations.
Yes.
There was a time when I first started in this business, and even for another 10 or 15 years, when everything was scripted, everything was formal, and people's expectations were that you had to deliver video in that sort of highly polished method.
Right.
YouTube particularly, and GoPro cameras and all of that, and stuff on people's cameras, more casual,
Right.
Friendlier, more immediate,
Right.
allows us that opportunity to be ourselves and have less concern for that polished or scripted format. It has its place, but not every video has to be picture perfect anymore, and I think that's a good thing.
I do too, and I think the big issue here is what's on brand for you.
Right.
If I'm looking at a bank's website, I don't exactly want a guy to go, yeah, wait a minute, I got something in my closet. Let me go back and get it for you. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want this illusion that these people have my money under control.
Yeah, that's it.
But if you know, you have to recognize that your brand, which is built on your beliefs, values, and your point of view, and then you've got to communicate that very effectively. Now, do people, you know, let's talk about branding, and Duncan and I have talked about this quite a bit, and we mentioned it in our original episode. You know, we're building a brand, right? We as independent professionals are building that brand, and we want to become known for a certain set of beliefs, values, and offerings and quality that we deliver.
Right.
And I think that when we leave our corporate lives, we're not really sure who we are.
Right.
Because we were the creation. We were the creation of the organizations that we were members of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I worked in great places for the most part. Not that they weren't their own brand of crazy, but some of them were, you know, they embraced my wackiness to a degree, right? But still, you become such a yes person no matter how much you try to stand for something, let's face it, you got to get a paycheck, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a period, I call it detoxing. When you actually leave, you've got to really think through, who was I? And what part of me was authentic there, but
Right.
who am I truly now? And what am I trying to communicate to people? And most of the time, like I said, you know, we don't want diet tips from Tweet. I'm dating myself now, right? We want diet tips from Jennifer Hudson, right? I want to know. So I think that most of the people that we're trying to market to want to know the journey that we traveled. And that's why video is so incredibly powerful, because no matter how fancy you write, there is nothing that conveys emotion like your video matched with your face.
Yes, that is absolutely true. You know, last night I produced a show for John Leslie Brown. He's Les Brown's son, right? And he does a show every Tuesday. Last night he had come on. Now again, same thing. Because of his dad, I came into the project with a certain, I'll say, illusion, a certain aspect that I'm expecting him to have, right? And because you see Les Brown all the time, totally polished, he's on point, all of that, right?
Right.
He came on, and he's also a motivational speaker. He's a millennial, so he does it differently. He does hip hop music. He's writing a book. And last night he came on and he told everybody, you know what, I almost didn't come here today because he was emotionally attached to the tragedy that took place in Brussels. And he started talking about it. And he got so into it, and he was delivering his message, and he started crying. You know, so this guy is crying. He shared how challenging writing his book is, because his dad is a New York Times best-selling author. He's trying to make sure that his product is just as good, but still different. And so, and it was amazing to watch, because of exactly what you just said, Winnie. I mean, you want to talk about authentic? I mean, I'm listening to this person that I'm thinking when I came into the project, he's like, you know, and a lot of us do this, he's got it all together. He's got this famous dad, this famous family. He's, you know, got it all together. But he shared his vulnerabilities, his fears, his doubts, his, you know, all of that, his sensitivity to the things that are taking place, but still trying to have that positive mental attitude and project some hope for people. And when I watched that, and my son was sharing the same thing with me, it endeared him to me even more. Sure. Because I'm like, dang, this dude he got same issues as everybody else, you know, and he's got the same, you know, maybe lack of confidence and fears and all kinds of things, just like anyone else does.
Yeah. And you know what? This is not my quote, so, you know, don't think I'm this pithy all the time. But somebody famous, maybe that guy Anonymous who says all those fabulous things, we judge ourselves and our blooper reel against somebody else's Academy Award winning film.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we don't know what's been edited and how much they practiced, but we look at that, you know, by some of these really top marketers, we look at that and find ourselves lacking.
Yeah.
Where we need to applaud the fact that we even got up, dealt with our tech problems, and were reasonably articulate, you know? So know that you're fighting that fight every day, and other people are too. It's just that sometimes they're better at faking it and putting on that happy face that you are. Now, does that mean that when you have a day like that, that's your day to shoot video? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's a day that you really do say, all right, I'm gonna work on a different project, you know, because I'm not feeling it. But you also, Stephen King has a great line. He said, when somebody asked him how he was so prolific, he said, I tell the muse when to show up for work. And I thought, man, that is brilliant. You know, you could sit there and meditate all day waiting for genius to hit you, but hey, this is 4 o'clock and my show's got to go on and I'm going to do it. So you got to tell the muse that this is the time to perform. And I think that's a big part of understanding who you are as a person, and then what you're going to do to take control of that particular situation and put your best, you know, your best face forward. Like today with all these tech disasters, luckily I had people jumping in and stepping into things, and it looks like Gail had to drop off there. So, you know, tech is tech, and try to manage as much as you possibly can. But I think understanding that some things are just out of your control.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You're just, right? You're just going to do the best you can.
Yeah.
Don't get upset.
Well, I think you just need to get, you need to know that there's always going to be, I mean, technology is complicated. Video is one of the most technologically complex things on the planet.
It is.
Believe it or not. I mean, now it's become, it feels like it should be simple. You know, it's built into your phone. You know, it's built into your laptop and so on. I worked on a series some years ago now for TV Ontario, and they went through technology, everything from, you know, the invention of the assembly lines and steam and coal and electricity and all of that stuff, automobiles. And it was very interesting because, I mean, I'm in the industry. They got to television and explained television. And according to TV Ontario at the time, it is the most expensive, most complex technology on the planet, period.
Wow.
We have actually spent more money on the development of television and colored TV or video than all other technology combined.
That's crazy.
That's how expensive it is. So when it doesn't work occasionally, should we be surprised?
Right. Yeah. And we're so used to push button and instant gratification, and sometimes it does not work. And when you're planning a project, Judy will tell you, we have tested, and then gone into a live event and it didn't work.
Boom.
So you do have to be ready and kind of prepare for anything. And I think that's part of the preparation process that you want to make sure that you have, that you've got things written down, that you've got backups for your backup. I'm a scuba diver, and we never go anywhere without multiple backups of everything. Same kind of thing here is you want to make sure that you're always ready, and know that even then sometimes it doesn't work right, and that's the best you can do. So Duncan, I think, we have been on here for a heck of a long time, and I appreciate your and Gail bailing me out while I dealt with my own tech issues. Just to give you a little insight into what happened. I don't know what happened on my laptop with my audio. My desktop crashed at the same time. So there must have been some internet thing going on. So the desktop crashed. I have another laptop, my third one, when it updated to Windows 10, without my permission, mind you, it screwed up my video drivers. So now my video camera is upside down. So we've had a bad week here.
I wondered how you did that. I was thinking she turned it.
No, I know. And that's why I was like, oh my God, I just can't take it. So sometimes just, the best laid plans, they just don't work. And in building your whole project plan, I tell people, don't do anything in a hurry.
No.
It never works.
No.
It's like bad juju. It just does not work. So Duncan, before we let everybody go and I do a wrap up for, love having so many people that have joined us today, with Jason Bates and the famous Nick Unsworth, which is fabulous. So excited to have you here, Nick, and Charlotte, who's been so fabulous. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Anything that you want to wrap up with before I do just a plug for the show in general and your episode?
Well, I think, I was trying to anticipate maybe some of the questions that people might ask. And one of the things that I think we talked a little about it, but, authenticity. But if you're actually doing your own videos, first of all, don't get caught up in the technology. Try to keep it simple at the outset. But then I think the other thing, and I've had people ask me these questions, is like, what do I do with my hands? Or how should I stand? And what should I wear? So, yeah, that's right. But if you're on camera and you actually start thinking about your body, you will look weird. Like if somebody says, well, you should be more, you should gesture more often or something. Those kind of things will start to look very strange. So it's important just to be yourself. And actually, and this comes from Mike Koenigs, and I thought he always said it well, but is think of one person, hopefully like, a fan of yours, might be a family member, a good customer, and talk to them. Because, of course, if you're actually recording and you're not live, it always feels a little strange because there's nobody there. But if you put your favorite person or your best customer in your mind and it's them that you see behind the lens and start to communicate with them, you'll do fine. I think, and again, trying to stay away from things that are too scripted. So oftentimes what I'll do is give myself a handful of notes that are just stuck to the side of my laptop or beside my camera. So I'm speaking to my notes, but it's me. And it's not overly scripted. And that, people get to see who you are.
Yeah.
So that would be my last note.
Yeah, and amen to all of that. And back to one of my secrets for getting comfortable on camera. Practice what you have to say so much, but don't get caught up in memorizing it.
Right.
Be comfortable with the bullets, and if you can lay out the physical structure of your shop, where you're doing your work, so that you have reminder bullets directly in front of your camera, you're going to create this illusion that you are looking right at the camera when you're really looking about an inch above. So I buy those 4x6 index cards, and they get stuck on the wall immediately above my camera. So it really does look like, so I hate, it's like the magician, you know. So I'm revealing my secrets here, and now you are on to me. Sorry, but you know. So I think
I'm
that
telling.
amen, you know, with Duncan, and amen to all the great things that Gail said. People buy you when, you know, you're an independent professional. They want to put their trust in you, and they can't do that if you're overly scripted.
Yeah.
You've got to be the real person you are. And I think that's one, for those of us who have gotten a little older, it's one of the great gifts that comes with aging, is that comfort that you have with yourself. So know that the people that you want to work with are going to be the ones that resonate with you and respond to you. And the people who go, what in the heck is the matter with that chick? Good, that's wonderful, because repelling people is a big part of attracting the right ones. So I just want to thank my fabulous group here today, the lovely and talented Judy, who she runs the show here, okay? Let me tell you that. Judy is so fantastic, my production assistant, and she is so wonderful. The fabulous Gail Turner Brown, who is a great friend and who has her own very successful blab shows. She's the blab queen as far as I'm concerned. Oh. And my good friend Duncan, who was such a great guest on Let's Talk Tech. So you have been watching the craziness of the after show of Let's Talk Tech. Let's Talk Tech is the podcast that airs on Tuesdays on iTunes at techshowpodcast.com. And it's the show for entrepreneurs who are confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed by technology. And yes, I'm one of them. But who are determined not to let it get in their way. The after show airs on Wednesdays. It's live on Blab, as you now experienced, and that's where we dive deeper into the topic that we addressed on Tuesday. Sometimes we're on at noon Eastern time, sometimes it's 3 p.m. Eastern, so you want to follow me and certainly Judy and find out when the next episodes are going to air. So please be sure, if you liked the craziness that you experienced today, that you follow us and that you connect with the Let's Talk Tech Show or Tech Show podcast. And as I promised, I'm going to be airing this episode. It'll be on the show's YouTube channel and then embedded onto the website. And I will have details about the gadgetry that we talked about today, and links and all that great stuff. So it's been fantastic spending a crazy afternoon with you guys. Loved having you. Thank you so much, Duncan, for all of your time. I appreciate it. And Judy and Gail. Pleasure. And I will catch up with you guys on another episode of Let's Talk Tech's after show really soon. Have a great night, and we'll see you. Bye.
Thanks,
now.
Winnie. Thanks, Gail. You guys were great.
Love you, Gail.